Hey everybody, peace and blessings to you. Hope this video meets you well. I'm recording in the early morning hours from my laundry room in front of my machine, doing one of those recordings that I haven't done in a long time. It's the kind of recording that I made when I just got out of bed, and I have some thoughts that are fresh in my mind that I want to share. I want to share it before the house gets up and before I start doing things. So first of all, I woke up this morning in a nightmare kind of energy. Woke up this morning having to remind myself that I am safe and it is not real. I am safe and it's not real. I don't really dream, but when I do, my dreams are often awful. So I'm glad that I don't dream much. And I had a few of those kind of nightmarish type dreams last night. My whole sleep cycle kind of got messed up because I took a nap and then I woke up and I realized that wasn't my nighttime sleep. That was just a nap. I woke up in time to have supper. I had a chicken pot pie for supper and I had a hard time falling asleep. I eventually fell asleep around 1 o'clock. And when I fell asleep, I started dreaming horrible dreams, including like somebody trying to kill me. So I woke up, I jumped out of that dream, fighting for my life. Feeling mentally strong enough to fight for my life, but not physically strong enough to fight for my life. So I didn't know. I felt in my mind that I was going to win that battle. In my mind, I felt like I was going to win that battle, but my body didn't feel like it was going to win the battle. So I don't know how that was going to turn out. But I never got to finish that dream. And then this morning, I woke up with, dream. I had one of the creatures from this current U.S. admin in my dream, one of these secretaries whose initials are MR, and one of the worst creatures that I know of, one of the many horrible creatures that I know of that exist in this world. Most of the horrible creatures that I know of are associated with this regime, with this so-called admin, right? Administration. Worst people. So anyway, MR was in my dream for some damn reason. I don't know why. And the dream kind of ended with our children being taken away and us being accused of murder and all kind of weird shit, right? So I don't usually get up asking what my dreams mean, because my dreams are often so weird with people that have no reason to be in my dreams, that it just doesn't feel like it has a meaning. It just feels like it was just something going on with my body and my mind, and I just dreaming shit. So I don't ask about my dreams. I have to wake up and I have to tell myself I am safe and it's not real. I am safe and it's not real. So anyway, that was just a random little story that I shared. It took up 3 minutes of my 10-minute time. Hostage politics is the theme. So since the theme of this video, so since I have been paying attention to politics, which I started in 2017 when a certain somebody was elected president the first time, because I started paying attention because he was so loud and so brazen and so like the worst human that I've ever witnessed in my life, the worst leader, the worst everything I've ever seen in my life. And I just couldn't understand how normal, sensible people would listen to this guy or follow this guy or have this guy lead anything, choose this guy on purpose to lead anything. Like, I saw who he was. I could see who he was, like straight up, just could see right through him and what he was and who he was and what he was creating, right? And it made me become somebody that had to step out of my bubble and start to pay attention, like really open my eyes. My spiritual awakening happened at the very same time that this certain somebody became a world leader, right? Somebody that you had to take seriously, that had so much so much access to all our worlds, right? So much control, so much power, so much I'm trying to find the right wording, but like he could touch all our lives, and he touched all our lives. Like he touched every aspect of everything that affected our lives in different ways, all of it, right? And he created an energy. He created this division and split in the world that no other human being has ever created in this way. And this is why I have thought many times that if there was any human that could be classified as the anti-Christ, it was this one. He has very, very powerful, very strong anti-Christ energy, right? What the antichrist represents, he has that energy, right? But I don't speak of the antichrist in a way as somewhat as in a way that I'm scared or something we should be scared of. It's just an awareness that he has that energy and he has that power. And he reminds me of how the antichrist in the movies that I watched when I was younger was portrayed and represented. He reminds me of that. It reminds me of that energy. So anyway, I understood how he used to do politics, how he did politics, how he did everything in his life. He did. So he was a perpetrator of what you call hostage politics. And I noticed that throughout the course of paying attention on how he did things. And I always likened it, I always thought of it as in when we watch these movies with these heroes and stuff, and when the villain like take, innocent people hostage, hold innocent people hostage in order to get the hero to let them go or to give them what they want or to have the hero do what they want. And the hero always does. The hero be like, okay. And often because of it, the villain will get away temporarily or get away with what they're trying to do temporarily because they held an innocent people hostage. And usually in movies like that, it will piss you off because you'll be like, why would you let him go? But and a hero, a good guy, could never be the reason an innocent person is lost or an innocent person loses their life. They try to save everybody, right? And I've always seen that the Democrats are, most of them, a lot of them are like that. They're, whatever reason you might be pissed off because of the Democrats, right? You think that they're too goody, you think they're too soft, and you think they're too distant. I think that the country is very, very unfair and unreasonable towards Democrats. I think that Democrats carry the whole fucking country on their shoulder. Like, they carry everything. Like, they are blamed for what Republicans do and don't do. They are blamed. They are held accountable. Republicans are never held accountable by anybody. Republicans are not held accountable by themselves, by their own people, by the media, by anybody, by the independents, by anybody. But Democrats are held accountable by everybody for what they do and what they don't do, what they have the power to do and what they don't have the power to do. Like, there's no winning. And the thing is about a Democrat, most of them, they care about people and they listen, and what we never take into consideration, what a lot of people doesn't seem to take into consideration, is the amount of people that they have to listen to, and their own people, the people that should be on this side often turn on them, and often are harsh with them, and often so there's no winning. There's no winning. So I had a conversation with a friend that I don't usually talk politics with, because she's just not that type of person. She's just not that type of person. So I just don't really, I don't even have to worry about it. And it's not somebody I have to convince of anything, because she would participate she would do her civil duty and she would vote for the Democratic Party, So I didn't have to worry about that person. But, the food stamps issue became something that she actually brought up politics with me, and I didn't really talk much, because she said it was like you said, the Democrats have to be tougher. I don't even remember when I had a conversation, but it's like you said, the Democrats have to be tougher, and she was talking as though that's what they were doing. They were being tough and they were sticking it out and all that. And I was listening and I was thinking to myself, I hadn't had the heart to tell her that I knew that eventually they would give in. Eventually they would try to make a deal, and it wouldn't be the way I hoped. It wouldn't people happy because they're between a rock and a hard place. And my 10 minutes is up, so I'm going to continue this conversation in a part 2. Hey everybody, so I'm recording in my basement in front of my machine on November 10th, 2025 is Monday, and it's one of those early morning thoughts video. This is what I call my 10-minute TikTok Teach Talks. I'm Latisha, if you don't know me. This is part 2 to recording themed hostage politics. That's what I'm going to title this recording discussion, hostage politics. And in the previous video, I took up some of my time sharing my dreams for absolutely no reason. I just wanted to. So, part 2, hostage politics. And I was talking about how when I started to pay attention in 2017. I had my spiritual awakening in 2017 or 2016, the end of 2016, just before certain people got inaugurated and became the official president, right? And I started paying attention. I started learning about how the American political system works and how effed up it really is. And I didn't understand why people chose to do it this way, why it is done this way, because in so many ways it is really messed up. It is really messed up. And it was always gonna like hit this what do you call it, what would be the right way to say it? It was always gonna get to this point where it is now, because it was doomed not to succeed in, not to lead to a good place. It just wasn't designed to, it wasn't for the people. It wasn't fair, and it was headed in the wrong direction. So whatever happens after this particular season of the American politics, it has to be rebuilt. So I'm very, very glad in a way that the destroyer is destroying it all, right? I know that it is uncomfortable, and I know that it scares people, and I know that people are trying to save it, and people are trying to get them to do what the destroyer and his demons, his minions, his whatever, to do what they want them to do the right thing, and to be better people, and to make better policy and better choices. But that's never going to happen. That's not what they're there to do. They're there to destroy, and in their mind, they're trying to destroy to create it in their own image, and it's up to us to prevent them from rebuilding after they destroy everything, rebuilding in their own image. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how the people are going to do it, but I do believe that it starts with building, healing, and mindset change, and rebuilding your inner world. It starts here. That's the truth, and that's where I'm focusing my energy on. So in the previous video, I think I mentioned that, or I may have mentioned that I don't follow politics in the way that I used to. I don't pay attention to politics in the way that I used to. I didn't mention it in the previous one. I recorded this video so many different times that I don't know what got mentioned or what hasn't gotten mentioned, but this is but I don't follow politics the way I used to, because I just can't. I just absolutely can't. I have to tap out, right? Because it is, at this point, too chaotic, and it is not worth saving. You just have to let it crumble. You got to let the Jericho walls fall, even though you don't want to. We got to get uncomfortable. We got to break free of the system, and it has to be rebuilt. So, it has to play out how it has to play out. And one of the things I realize about this this regime, right, is that throughout the course of everything, they always played hostage politics. And I think I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but it's like the villains taking the innocents hostage so they could get the heroes, the good guys, to do what they want to do. And no matter even when a good guy know that they're walking into a trap, right? When because they're walking into a trap to save an innocent, they would still do it. Good guys are ridiculous, but that's what makes them good guys, and they're held to high ass standards and held highly accountable, more accountable in a way that a bad guy is never held accountable. The pressure it is to be a good guy is immense, and I do think for the most part, centrists, lefts, whatever you call, or whatever spectrum they are, most Democrats, but not all, are good guys. They are good guys. That's why they are on the Democratic side. Yeah, they might take money, just like Republicans to a certain extent, from PACs and corporations and all that, because they have to participate in the system in order to be a player in the system. They gotta play the cards they're dealt. They have to play the system that they're dealt, right? So, but they have a harder time because they have to balance. They take the people into consideration. Most of these Republican dudes don't care about their people because their people don't care enough about themselves to hold them to any standards. The people they have how to say it, the people in which they garner support are happy with scraps, are happy with struggling, are comfortable and contented. They have created this world and this energy in which they feel like, you work extremely hard, and you work with pride, and you work hard to get what you want out of life. And if you're struggling, if you end up homeless, if you end up without, if you gotta do food stamps, if you gotta do certain things, if you gotta rely on the government, then you're not working hard enough. They've created this mindset, a mindset like that, right? So they're comfortable with scraps. They're comfortable with the very little that they get and the horrible treatment that they get. And they prefer to blame as opposed to making the changes they need to make in order to have a better life. They prefer to be angry at somebody and blame somebody and complain and whine and bitch about it, right? That's the kind of people that, for the most part, they gather their support from. So these people never hold them accountable. But the Democrats are held accountable by everybody. Every freaking body, even people that don't vote for Democrats, that don't call themselves, I should say, a Democrat. People that call themselves independent, and people that act as though they're neutral and all this bullshit, right? They're held accountable by everybody and blamed by everybody. So I saw articles where in regards to this shutdown news, I saw articles about the shutdown deal thing that happened in the Senate. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what it's about, and I don't think I'm going to try to find out on purpose, right? But I saw the titles and the articles and the Substack writing and everything about how centrist Democrats cave and the Democrats cave, and it already sounds like people are blaming the Democrats for not sticking it out longer or not. I don't know. They're blaming the Democrats. But I always knew that the Democrats were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they're good guys. And the more that this admin held people's food and people's paychecks and all these different things hostage, the more highly probable that eventually they were going to try to make a deal and see what they could make happen, right? They were stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I just think that for the most part, I think that people are unfair and unreasonable when it comes to Democrats, and I don't know how that's gonna change. I don't know how people, that's why I don't follow politics in the way that I did, because it is so chaotic and so ridiculous, and the system is so awful and so, I don't know what the descriptive words are, that has to change. It can't stay the same, and I can't follow it in the way that it is now. I cannot, because it's just like this hamster wheel you know, or this maze that you keep running into walls and you're turning back and you're running and you're trying to find your way out of. So anyway, my 10 minutes is up. Thank you for listening. Peace and blessings.